Hi guys, welcome to blog number, I think it's 35.
You shouldn't have said that.
Why?
Because it'd be wrong now.
I think it's 35. Anyway, um, thanks to anyone who's just joined or new subscribers, especially those that are maybe watching on IGTV, which is a new thing for me, so welcome. All the past episodes, if you're at all interested, are on the Daddy Diaries playlist, which is on YouTube. If you search for the Daddy Diaries and filter playlist, it should come up and you can watch from the start of our journey. But I just wanted to talk a little bit today. I've been meaning to do it for a bit. Sorry, I'm Nassif and this is Andrew, if you've just met us. Hi. So I'm Abba and this is Daddy. And we're dads to a wee boy called Tiernan who's, how old is he now? 16 months? 15, 16? 15 or 16 months, so it doesn't really matter.
15, yeah.
Let's just say 15 because that makes us feel better about its development. 15 months old, and I just wanted to talk a little bit because I started following quite a lot of people on Instagram who are on an adoption journey. Either they're in the middle of the process of being approved, or they have been approved and that they're looking after kids now. And I think for us the journey was very different, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because if you've watched an earlier one, you'll know that we're currently kinship carers because Tiernan is the son of my brother. He's my nephew, but I don't want to say nephew too much because he will be our son. And he...
So he's a nephew by blood, isn't
he? Yeah. And so, yeah, it was just pretty much like a phone call in December saying there's a meeting and it's been approved and he'll be with you in a couple of weeks. And that was it, really. And
I mean, there had been a process before that. We'd known about him for about a year.
But we were expecting it to happen in April, June, July, September, November.
Yeah, so for 6 or 7 months, we were kind of expecting it to happen. So it was really hard to prepare for it, to have discussions with work about it. And there's no kind of formal process for how kinship care works. So it very much depends on the local authority and how they organise it. There's no set process. People are talking about, with adoption approval, I imagine, there's lots of visits, lots of chats with you, with, your extended family and friends, lots of evaluations, panels, all that sort of stuff. Whereas for us, it was remarkably light touch. I guess because for a lot of kinship carers, it's often emergency care. So, there's some crisis with the birth parents and then maybe a kind of an auntie or a granny or whatever has to step in, at very short notice. So often there's kind of no assessment done at all. And so kind of, I think we're kind of doing the best that we can, but we've had no real support about what it's going to mean to be parents.
Yeah, we went to a local event in London where a man who had adopted many years ago talked about his process and all the courses they get in the evenings, and they get to meet these people.
And did they have a social worker as well? So we don't really.
And the foster mother was like, so you've had all that, not training, but the things that prepare you for dealing with children that have maybe suffered loss
or trauma.
And then we had none of that, and it's only we know that we haven't. And luckily, Tiernan's turned out to be great in so many ways that actually not had a lot of. Well, I can't compare it, but it's just. We're not sitting like, oh my god, this devil child. It's like he's just a very easy, happy wee boy, but it's just if we needed that support, just it'd be so hard to get. We're in the English system. We live in England, but Tiernan's actually currently still under the care of the Scottish Social Services, and so they are so far away they can't help us. And
the other thing was, I guess, when you go through the adoption process, it's not just a case of the social services, local authority finding out about you, but it's also a chance for you to have a think about whether adoption's right for you and whether being a parent's right for you. Whereas for us, we knew kind of Tiernan was taken into care straight away, pretty much after he was born. So we kind of knew there was a child that was in need of a home, and we kind of were able to offer that, but it wasn't. But it wasn't really a kind of. We didn't really go through a real process of working out whether we'd be able to, whether that was actually a good thing, because it just felt right. But I mean, we actually did, because there was a point where they weren't really sure Tiernan would be placed with us, because they weren't sure about contact with birth parents and whether we could safeguard him enough. And so we did then actually have to go through a process ourselves of thinking
Yeah.
about how we would safeguard him, how we'd protect him, how we'd support him. But we kind of did that ourselves just by doing a bit of reading and thinking about it. But it was not there was no kind of help to kind of go through that process and think about it and think through all those things. So actually, it could have been a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah.
Like Tiernan could have been really difficult. We could have not been ready to be parents, or not kind of realised the impact it was going to have in our lives. Like completely changed them, turned them upside down. But actually, you know, we don't really think about it, because you kind of obviously, if you've got a child in your life, you just kind of have to deal with it on a daily basis and you just kind of get on with it. But it's been nice when a few friends have said to us, you guys are doing so well, because
Like
you're
2 months ago, you had no child. You were just a couple of guys, just doing what we wanted, and then suddenly they're like,
fanning about, as you would say in Scotland.
and so some friends I've seen us went from we've went from being just doing our normal thing at Christmas and New Year to like a third person in our video calls.
Yeah, and like just our house is now full of toys, and our lives are just set around him. Another thing that was difficult was because it's kinship care, not actually adoption. I wasn't strictly speaking entitled to like adoption leave or adoption pay from work. But luckily, my work was quite understanding, and they said, "Well, actually, we'll just give you." They did have an enhanced package for adopters, so they decided to offer me that anyway, because they said, "Well, this is the time you need it, not further down the line, because our plan is to adopt, but I mean that's going to be quite complicated with the different legal systems and all that." But we were just glad to get him with us and get him settled and all that. So it was just really just to say that
Like, we're still going through
we're still going through this process rather than before you get the child. We're going through it as we've got the child, and there's no kind of turning back. We can't really like hand him back. So I guess for those people that are going through that process, I think you're quite. I know it's probably really difficult and invasive and intrusive and challenging, but actually getting that support and getting that ability to think through what adoption is going to mean for you beforehand is probably quite helpful. And I guess breeders, the birth parents get that 9 months to think about that before the baby arrives, whereas we kind of had like 2 weeks basically from. I think we were running around just before Christmas trying to get all the paperwork together, even though the local authority had a lot of time to sort that out. It wasn't really our fault. They had a meeting on the 31st.
Burn.
So, they had a meeting on the was it what, the 27th? 27th. Then we met the baby. Then we had a meeting on the 5th of January, was it? In the local authority, and then we met the baby that afternoon, and then we had 5 days of introductions, and then the foster mum brought him down, and that was it. She said goodbye, and then that was it. So it was pretty much baptism of fire, but hopefully we've risen to the challenge. And if people can look at my Instagram, you can see the different things we
And
get
if you
up
see
to.
the earlier videos, it's very different, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem to just start. The first one just starts in the middle of like a day for Nassif. But another thing I wanted to mention was, a lot of people that go through an adoption process is they're trying to find out the right child for you, whereas we went through the little we did go through, but it was quite hard at certain points for us, but it was all for Tiernan, and if that wasn't to work out, we had to start from scratch. Everything was, so we would have to go back to day point.
And we weren't looking to adopt, probably. We thought about it. We were living in Edinburgh for a while before we came down to London, and we thought about it, but then we came to London, and you just get caught up in life here, work, whatever. We're quite enjoying it, but we didn't really think. We kind of stopped thinking about adopting. So actually, this has been a kind of, even though it's been really stressful, it's been a real blessing, and they kind of also look at, there's lots of people on Instagram who've kind of gone through the surrogacy route, and I kind of think, gosh, that must have been really hard as well for lots of different reasons as well. And so sometimes I think we're quite lucky in that, we've got a child that, that we are related to by blood, or that you're related to by blood, but actually haven't had to go through that process.
And it saves that child, Tiernan, from having to wonder what his family were like.
Yeah, so it gives them that grounding, it's
that they did love him, and
someone did step up and look after him. Because I've got a colleague who, she just spent lots of years in the care system because there was no one in her family who was prepared to look after her when her birth parents couldn't look after her, which is just really sad. And I think that can really scar a person, can't it? So anyway, it's a bit rambling, a bit long, but I just kind of wanted to kind of put that out there because I think actually we're not that unique in terms of kinship carers, and there's a lot more kinship carers out there than maybe people think, and maybe they're not as visible on social media because often it's like grandparents and things like that who are maybe not on social media, and they're not necessarily getting the kind of level of support that they should. So just a kind of shout out to them. And
you wanted to give a mention to
yeah, the other thing was I've talked about, sorry, this is rambling on a bit, but I'll stop soon. I've been watching that baby series on Netflix, and one other thing that I thought was really sweet, and this is for all kind of adoptive parents or gay parents or whatever, often apparently in a straight relationship, the mother will have a slightly different brain architecture around her amygdala or something like that, where she'll have much more of the kind of caring, nurturing aspects kind of
enlarges, and then
in our brain. But apparently they looked at the brains of gay dads who through surrogacy, and their brain apparently grew the same way, or dads in relationships that actually take on a lot of the caring responsibilities, the same thing happens. So the interesting thing is, like, parenthood is a choice, so parenting is a choice. So it really doesn't matter who your parents are as long as they
choose to look
after you, choose to nurture. So I think that's something that's quite, so when people say, oh, children need a mother, I was like, well, actually they just need good parents, and good parents are good parents.
And it was small things like, feeding and doing the bath and
reading to them
and just making contact
and certainly I think I've become more nurturing, although today he managed to fall twice under my care and he's got a little cut in his head. But he'll be alright. I don't think I broke him. Did I?
No, he was laughing 2 minutes later.
Anyway, leave some comments if you want.
Not a bit
like
of fine
if you want, not a bit of it. I'd be really interested to hear how your journey is. I mean, we're still, I guess, on an adoption journey of sorts, but it's kind of just legal, really. We're just waiting for the legal stuff to sort itself out rather than kind of any approval process or anything. Hopefully we won't take him off as a nightmare. Anyway, we'll sign off now. Thanks for watching.
Bye,
Lots
guys.
of love. Chop chop. Oh, not chop
Chop, chop.
mushy mushy. Bye. Chop chop.